All right, Ben. Thursday night, as if it was 2 seconds ago. Tuesday. Can't believe it. How time
I'm
flies.
I'm disgusted by the fact that you haven't changed your clothes in the last 2 days.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true.
I mean, everyone knows that I wear the same. I'm like Batman. I only have one outfit, or Einstein. But you're a bit of a clothes horse, and your clothes are exactly the same.
I have 7 of these,
Actually,
and
I
I
feel
just
like I
happened
did
to
one today.
do my hair exactly the same.
The same. Oh, I figured you always did your hair the same. Like, it's been so long since I've had hair that I just figure that isn't it always the same? Once you find your look, you stick to it.
We're talking freeze frame same.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's do some lucky dip. We're here to pluck some movies out of this little doozy. Oh, it must be noted, no Sam this week. Sam's having a bit of a break, so we'll probably hopefully see her in a few weeks' time. Melzy would have joined us, otherwise she's struck with COVID and unwell, so we hope she gets better. You've had COVID, hence why you're over there, and so everyone's got it. And I hope you all don't have it by next week, because I'd love to have you back at the desk. It's lonely over here.
So yeah, I haven't left the house in 7 days. It's horrifying. I'm starting to like that bum print isn't coming out of the couch.
Uh-oh. They have like hazmat cleaners that come in and
yeah. I need to get Samuel L. Jackson in with his Listerine, but not the new Listerine, the old Listerine.
Is that the Listerine from Toy Soldiers?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Okay, that's one I had from last week, so I'm not gonna do that. Must have put it back in. All righty then. You don't want to talk about Kikis delivery service, do you?
I like Kikis delivery service. I enjoyed the film. I've only seen the English dub. I didn't watch it in Japanese with the subtitles. I watched it with Kirsten Dunst doing Kikis.
I will say that I prefer just about all of the English dubs of the Ghibli films to the originals.
The funny thing is, like,
most.
While I do actually prefer, it's the same as like with a lot of the time watching martial arts movies, like those 70s kung fu movies. I prefer the dubs. I just like it better when they were voice actors and they weren't celebrities doing voice acting, because I find, like, especially Kirsten Dunst, who has such a recognizable voice, such a individual voice, that I found her distracting as opposed to everyone else.
So Kiki's delivery service is Anne Hathaway, isn't it?
Is Anne Hathaway? I thought it was Kirsten Dunst.
I think it's Anne Hathaway, but either way, I do like the film. I like the English dubs of these simply because I think when something's animated, it's not a lip sync issue. Like, generally speaking, that's not an issue with that, where films are. But I think in this case,
it's Kirsten Dunst. It is.
Is it? What one's Anne Hathaway? She's in one of them.
Maybe she's Howl's Moving Castle or Spirited Away.
I don't know, but I'm glad you fact checked me on that one.
Let's have a look. It's Spirited Away. Or My Neighbor Totoro.
I can't remember. So anyway, my point being, I think that the English dubbing adds a little bit of magic to these films for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't have to invest as much energy in watching them, and they're just easy to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like, I like to, like, don't get me wrong, if I watch a movie on SBS or whatever it is, I prefer to watch it in the original language.
Yep.
I mean, you can't trust the subtitles anyway, but you certainly can't trust the dub.
Yeah.
And it just looks like it's out of sync. But with the anime and with certain things, you just like, it's just easier. And it's hard to do for a kids' film when kids, can't read or can't read at speed.
Yeah,
you got to do it.
So the Anne Hathaway one was The Cat Returns.
I haven't seen. That's one of the few that I haven't actually seen.
And I think the reason I confused the two is because in my mind they're more of the kid-orientated Ghibli films as opposed to the others being young adult focused.
Yeah.
Both pretty good. I think Kerry Eulis is also in The Cat Returns. It's Kiki's delivery service is great. I love it.
I did thoroughly enjoy it. I'm probably due for a rewatch for all of those Miyazaki movies, because I think I don't really remember too much about what happens in any of them, other than that I remember really liking Howl's Moving Castle and Kiki's Delivery Service.
Yeah,
I like Spirited Away, but
what's your favorite Ghibli film? I think mine is Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind.
Yeah, I wanted to like that one a lot more than I did in the end. I probably My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, they're mostly good.
Favorite.
If if you can call it Jubilee, because I think it was made before it was officially Jubilee. I do love the Grave of the Fireflies. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, that one's a bit too sad for me.
It's a hard watch.
I don't want to watch. I don't. You know, I like to watch them once, but I don't often want to go for the rewatch of ones that make me cry.
That's not as bad as like Barefoot Jen, which was told over 2 long installments. Like it's the same, pretty much the same subject, but over 2 long installments. I got to interview Miyazaki's son for work, but we were never able to use the interview on the show or anything because there was a whole translator involved. So it was just a real tricky one. But yeah, that was a trip.
I didn't know that House Moving Castle was actually made after Spirited Away. I thought Spirited Away was like of those ones was the most recent.
Spirited Away is the one that kind of Spirited Away is the one that introduced them to a real mainstream audience. You know,
yeah, which is why I thought that he had done, like, I know he had done Nausicaa Valley of the Winds, and he'd done Princess Mononoke, but I thought that Spirited Away was like, I thought he'd done Kikis and then Spirited Away got super big, and then they released all the old ones. Yeah, I didn't realize that it was after.
Gotcha.
Except for, and then Ponyo was the first one after, and I remember thinking Ponyo was a bit of a disappointment, only because, and I didn't really watch it, but it was like, hey, what, they turn into it's about a fish in a bucket, and there's a similar, like, what's his name is not my favorite, Dory, whatever that, Finding Nemo is not my favorite Pixar movie either. Like, I find the ones that happen in water to be, I just don't find fish to, like, emotive.
And it was the same with that movie Luca that came out like last year or the year before. I didn't think much of that. That's another seafaring one.
They should have just based it on the Suzanne Vegas song.
But
the fish being abused, but you're not allowed to, just don't ask it.
I think Spirited Away, was that not the first Academy Award Ghibli had won? Maybe the only one. Yeah. Have you got any there to pick out, or do you want me to do it all for you?
No.
Oh, you've got your little KFC.
Well, I haven't thrown away the old KFC chips packet.
He's pulled out a chip that's been in there for like a month.
One of my favorite films that I like to talk about all the time. I think I've talked about it on the show numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
Gumshoe.
Yes.
The Stephen Frears detective. He's not really a detective. He's a bingo caller and a wannabe stand-up comedian who, as a birthday present to himself, puts an ad in the paper as if he's a gumshoe. And then he's shocked when he gets a job to meet someone at a hotel, and he turns up and there's a gun and a wad of money, and he's like, "Oh, I'll take it," thinking it's his friends who are like, who have done it for him. Not, never mind the fact that it's like Thatcher era Britain or pre-Thatcher era, but like everyone's unemployed and he's on the dole line and stuff. But then it's kind of it just kind of devolves into this mystery, and it's just so. But it's what's his name? Charlie Bubbles. What's it? Miles Massey? No, not Miles Massey.
I'm not. I know who you're talking about. I can't.
Albert Finney.
Finney, yes.
Albert
yes,
Finney,
yes.
but he spends the whole movie talking like Albert Finney, talking like Humphrey Bogart. Like, so it doesn't in any way sound like Humphrey Bogart. It sounds like Albert Finney doing Humphrey Bogart.
I had bloody Gabrielle Burns in my head the whole time.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting cast.
Music by Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Wow.
They're all like, it was Stephen Frears' first film, I think, or like very early on.
Would be.
And Albert Finney was the big get because of things like Charlie Bubbles and was it all Saturday night, Sunday morning, or whatever it was that he'd done. Billy Whitelaw, who would later go on to appear in.
Technically his second film, Stephen Frears' second film, but I would say it's his first because I reckon the first one doesn't even have a clickable link on it. I think it's probably a student.
What's the first one called?
The Burn-In, and it's not the Burn-In that we know. 68 was made.
I wonder if it's because there is a film. It's actually on the Indicator Blu-ray of Gumshoe. He made a film set in Africa.
Let's have a look.
So it's
That's right.
But that feels more like a short than a feature.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna go scrolling.
That was super interesting. I could go pick up the Blu-ray, but
it's a short. It's a 30-minute short. The Burning.
Yeah, it sounds like it's the one that they include on the.
A white South African is shocked on a weekly visit to his sister's farm.
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
It's actually on that. It's an extra feature on that Blu-ray release, which I highly recommend getting.
Yeah.
But the movie is it's so much fun. It's like Get Carter light, but also Get Carterish. Like it's just.
I don't know why. Something in my head was telling me it was like The Man Who Knew Too Little. Like when you were telling me when he rocked up and it was his mates.
It kind of is, and it has this. It's just this great movie that I found. It's one of those movies where I felt disappointed. About 10 minutes in, I felt upset because I could never watch it for the first time again. Like it was just, it just really, hit as a, rainy Sunday afternoon. Fuck, this is good.
I don't think I've seen it. To be honest with you. So I might have to add that to my list. I'll take that.
I had to basically force Jarrett to borrow it, but I don't know if he actually ended up watching it in the end.
I'll take that as a recommendation, though. Awesome, mate. All right, let me pluck another one out here. We'll do one more each. Then we can get on with things. Pay It Forward.
Oh, yeah, right. That was an interesting one.
And that was kind of big at the time.
Well, I remember when it came out, it was one of those Video Easy exclusive type ones, and we couldn't get it at the video store. We had to get it aftermarket to include it, and I watched it in the shop. And I mean, it was one of those. It was weird because one, it was Kevin Spacey, burn victim Kevin Spacey, having sex with Helen Hunt, and Kevin Spacey. Even before all the stuff came out about Kevin Spacey, he was still asexual. He was someone who you ever wanted to see.
And he was eyeing off Haley Joel Osment, and that wasn't good.
But and Helen Hunt, is weird as the mum, and Jim Caviezel as the.
Helen Hunt is weird in anything sort of post trances.
Post Only You.
Yeah. What's going on down there, mate? Did you find that thing that fell off the roof?
That was that is still to this day upsets me. What fell off the roof last week? No, I dropped a USB stick on the floor.
Oh, okay.
And I was trying to, it's under the desk, and I was trying to scooch it out, but it's not scooching.
You're welcome to go off screen if you want. Get down there.
The sounds that will emanate from both the chair and my back as I try and get down there, and then I'm not able to get back up again.
And then you run the risk of letting loose a bumper cleave.
Yeah.
Pay It Forward was a real tearjerker. Like it was they get you in the end, that one.
I like that, he the whole thing springs is like Kevin Spacey is a teacher.
Yep.
And he's Haley Joel Osment's teacher, and he comes up with this thing of paying it forward. Somebody does something nice for you, you then do something nice for 3 other people, and it's this thing, and it spreads. It's supposed to spread this, doing nice. And of course, the only kid who does it is Haley Joel Osment. And then Helen Hunt, who plays his mum, gets pissed off because her son is out there helping people. And how dare Kevin Spacey get her son to help people? Like, it's such a weird reaction. But Helen Hunt is, is very good at taking offense at things that no one should take offense at.
It's very, for lack of a better word, it's very fanciful too. Like, it's a very hard to believe kind of movie. Like, it takes something simple and turns it into something almost impossible.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you remember that final scene. I mean, this is 20 years old, people. It's not a spoiler by any means, but the final scene when everybody that he's done good deeds for lines up in their cars for miles and miles and miles and miles. When, spoiler alert, the kid dies. It's just it's just so on the nose, but it's hallmarky on the nose.
What upset me is that Helen Hunt would sleep with a burn victim. Come on. That's not. He wasn't even the thing he makes out about how he wasn't even that bad of a burn victim. He looked like someone who had bad acne scarring. He didn't really look like, You know,
Mate,
like that woman who's lost her whole face.
the older she gets, she looks like a burn victim. So I don't know. Like,
She's a bit odd looking now.
Alrighty. Well, she's getting old, so it's probably a pretty harsh thing for us to be saying, but we're not. We're not exactly.
I was going to say because we're Picasso paintings.
Well, actually, are. All right. What do we got? Jackie Brown. Yes.
Tarantino's.
I also wrote a little bit about Jackie Brown at work recently as well, because I talked about movies that have characters that do cross over, and that has Michael Douglas crossing over from Out of Sight.
Funnily enough, I was talking to some friends about Across 110th Street, and because Across 110th Street is that kind of opening song, they were like, they didn't like Across 110th Street. And then when they watched Jackie Brown and that song came on, it really put them off Jackie Brown.
It's used so well though.
Yeah, that's something that I would usually do. Like it's I only get put off by arbitrary things.
I saw the film twice in the cinema in one day when I was in Canada. That's when it got released, and I was already like back in that teen phase where Tarantino was everything. You know, back when it was Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, it was like he is the new thing. Like I've said to you before,
That's his third film, isn't it? I keep forgetting.
Yeah. So I got I got suspended for high school for peddling copies of Reservoir Dogs, and
was it banned or something? Or were you?
No, it was R-rated, and I was like,
oh,
yeah, I was underage.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and
corrupting.
Radio. In the end, the principal sort of let me back so long as I could give him a copy. So you know, it all worked out. It was a 1-day suspension, but anyway. I was all about Tarantino back then. I was reading the screenplays that got published as books, and I was reading his biographies and all that kind of stuff. And when Jackie Brown came out, I was so excited. Went to the cinemas and saw it by myself, and it was like, "Fuck, this is great!" So I went straight home, told my mum and dad they have to watch this movie because they didn't like Tarantino. It was like nonsense. It was nonsense to them
because they're parents.
No. And I'm like, "This one will change your mind. Promise you, it'll change your mind." And they knew how passionate I was about cinema in general, so they came along to watch it, and it didn't change their minds at all.
No. The funny thing was, I remember the first time, like I would say now that Jackie Brown is my favorite Tarantino movie, probably because it's the only one not based on a story by Quentin Tarantino. But I mean, that's being unfair. But I do love Elmore Leonard anyway.
Yeah.
Aside from that, but I did really, really like, I did really kind of dislike Jackie Brown when it first came out. The first time I watched it, I was thinking, what is this? And it's hard. It would be really hard to follow up a film that had the kind of global domination kind of success of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And so Jackie Brown was kind of the film that you had to hate if you were a Tarantino fan, kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and
because he didn't write it, it was easy to say, well, this is not the same, you know.
Yeah, that's right. And it's they do fall, you know, tall poppy syndrome is real.
Mm.
And they all do it. Like they all have films that you don't like as much as the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily, Jackie Brown is possibly the one that I've gone back and watched the most.
Yep.
And now it's the one that I can watch it and then watch it again straight away without any problem.
I think it was
again.
I think it was Roger Ebert that reckons that Jackie Brown is Tarantino's best film, and he gave Pulp Fiction a perfect score. So that's interesting. But I was going to say, at that time, I think also when Jackie Brown had come, we'd had Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, but we'd also had True Romance and Natural Born Killers, and people were just automatically associating them as Tarantino films, regardless.
Well, that's True Romance kind of is. With it. I always had trouble with those because I did associate them as, but I didn't. I was like, but he didn't direct it, and I was just like, why are these Tarantino films if he didn't direct it? Like,
but I think you can. I mean, I don't have a problem calling True Romance a Tarantino film because I think most of it is very much Tarantino. Like his script is what's on screen. Different story with Natural Born Killers, but Anyway, so it didn't convince my parents. You know, the first movie that I think to my knowledge that my mum enjoyed of Quentin Tarantino's was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Took her that long. She sent me a text one night. She goes, I just saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's fantastic. I'm like, mother.
And that's it. Look, funnily enough, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is another one that I did not really enjoy as much as I wanted to at the first viewing.
Yep.
And then it's since taken like Like I think like that next to Jackie Brown, that's the one I've watched the most.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think when I reviewed Once Upon a Time, I described it as existing in the same universe as Pulp Fiction. In retrospect, it probably occupies the Jackie Brown universe a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, it definitely feels like it's cut from the same cloth.
Yeah. I would think that Max Cherry could exist in that.
Yeah.
In that
and
world.
I was reading that when Steven Soderbergh was doing Out of Sight, which came just after Jackie Brown, that he visited Tarantino while he was editing Jackie Brown and saw the scene with Michael Douglas and just thought, well, why should I recast his character? He's perfect. So that's why he plays the same character and dresses the same.
Michael Douglas, but Michael Keaton.
Oh, I keep saying Michael Douglas. I think that's just because it's that piece of trivia that's in your head.
Yeah. That's his name.
That is his name, because whenever someone says, have you got any movie trivia? That's the first one I go to.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, cool. Well, there's a lucky dip video. I reckon we did okay.
No, hang on. That was my, don't you have one more?
I thought we did. No, I did. Didn't I do one and say now it's your turn?
You did. I think you only did one.
No, I've done two. I've got them in my mug.
Okay. Or you don't have, didn't you have the one that you took out by mistake from the that you put back in? Is there three?
There's three in my mug. Yeah.
Right.
We've run the clock out. Let's just say that.
Yeah. All right.
In other words, I don't want to do anymore. Oh, shit, man. All right. Well, I'll see you on Monday's show.
Yeah. Yeah. Next Monday.
Yeah. All right.